This call is now being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the afternoon session of the day. And we have the pleasure of having Dr. Uh, Sariput with us. Sir is Assistant Professor, Department of Veterinary and Animal Husbandry Extension Education, Nagpur. Sir has chosen a topic entrepreneurship development in agriculture and allied sectors. Sir, you are audible sir, can you turn on your camera so that it would be visible also? Your screen is visible and yeah, please turn on your camera. Press ignore. You can press ignore also.
Yeah. Is it okay, sir?
Yes, you are audible as well as visible. Now you can go to the PPT and you can start, sir. The session recording has started. Around 70 participants have joined as of now. The session would be 1 hour long and you would want to give some time at the end for the Q&A, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Start.
Thank you, Majid, sir.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you to all of you for joining this session. Majid, sir, I think I'll have to again start that particular presentation.
Yeah, you just have to open that presentation. You don't need to start up. Just open the PPT. Yes. And start the slideshow as you normally do.
Yes, my slide presentation is okay now?
Yes. For the time being, you are delivering your presentation. The participants will not be visible to you, but they are to them you are visible and audible, and your presentation is also visible.
Okay. I hope everybody is fine and healthy. Today I'm here to present or discuss with all of you the topic which was allotted to me, like entrepreneurship development in agriculture and allied sector. As Dr. Majid sir has rightly pointed out, that today's era is about developing entrepreneurship and creating a batch of entrepreneurs in agriculture and allied areas. When we speak about agriculture and allied areas, let us start with what entrepreneurship is all about. I hope during the last, I think, 18 to 20 days, a lot of speakers must have spoken about entrepreneurship or what is entrepreneurship as such. And the topic which was given to me is entrepreneurship development in agriculture and allied sectors. So I would like to start with basically what are the opportunities for agriculture graduates or for even for non-agricultural fellows also in agriculture and allied areas. When we speak about entrepreneur abilities or entrepreneur opportunities, we are talking about various domains of agriculture and its allied areas where the agriculture is a basic domain, and the other farms or the other enterprises are supporting the agriculture as such. We have been traditionally speaking about this particular thing in terms of raising the crops along with the animals, raising the crops along with vegetable, or raising the crops along with different kinds of horticulture or agroforestry or beekeeping or mushroom keeping or something like that. So any one or maybe an integration of many factors or many production areas or many production avenues will form the entrepreneurship avenues or entrepreneurship opportunities in agriculture and allied areas. When we speak about entrepreneurship, or when we speak about giving a scope in agriculture and allied area, what we are speaking is giving or creating entrepreneurship avenues in rural and rural areas as such. And when you know that our rural areas or our agriculture is one of the largest source of entrepreneurship or the largest source of workforce as such, near about 70% of your workforce which is coming from the rural areas is basically occupied by the agriculture and allied sectors. And when we wanted to establish or when we wanted to increase this particular domain, it is very important that we have to understand the other opportunities rather apart from the agriculture. Definitely we are doing very great in terms of your agriculture production or in terms of the production from agriculture side. But at the same time, when we speak about the farmers' distress, or when we speak about the unrest in the farming sector due to the ever decreasing, you can say that agriculture produce, or the price realization from the agriculture produce, we have to understand here that diversification, or what you call what we have always been referring it to as a mixed agriculture or integrated agriculture, we have to restore that particular age-old practices again, and then we'll have to restore this particular agriculture in such a way that this agriculture becomes more and more sustainable, and more people will come with, or will join, or will attach with the agriculture in a proper way. And that can be achieved through exposing them with different avenues in agriculture itself, or on the different avenues which are based on agriculture as such. As I have just given a short list of that particular things, I'll be speaking about these particular things and the domains, or the you can say that the subheads of these particular domains in some way elaborated way. Here I'll not be giving you much of your theoretical exercise. What I have tried here is to give you a real hands-on information about what this particular domain means and how these particular domains are important in terms of creating entrepreneurship in agriculture and allied sector. Since Dr. Majid sir has introduced me as a veterinarian, so we will take our journey from the animal husbandry side, and then we'll continue with the other sectors as such. So continuing with this particular thing, I'm very happy to share that the first and foremost important aspect of agriculture and allied business when it comes to your mind is definitely the integrated dairy farming, whether it is with the cattle, whether it is with the buffaloes, whether it is with the, nowadays even you can say that dairy farming, we are integrating milk producing goats also, goats and sheep and goat also. But predominantly in India, what we look at here is an integrated agriculture or integrated dairy farming as a subsidiary business, or we used to call it as a subsidiary business. In some of the areas, it's not even the subsidiary business. It has taken as a center stage for that particular sector or that particular domain. Here, we have been traditionally doing this particular dairy farming in both ways, whether it is cow farming, whether it is buffalo farming. As you know that we are having the largest population of the cattle in India, or cattle across the world. At the same time, the productivity and the production potential of our dairy cattle has some limitations. When we compare these particular things with the buffalo, they are doing something somewhat in a better way. Or we can say that in terms of the gene pool which we have the best of the gene pool in terms of your buffalo production. So taking these particular two things, or taking these particular two aspects, there are many avenues which are basically available to agriculture, you can say that farmer, or the person who's looking at agriculture and looking for some extra avenues on the basis of agriculture. You have been exposed to many of the dairy farms, many of your successful entrepreneurs as such. I have also given some of the snaps of your successful entrepreneurs which we have developed. As the Maharashtra Animal and Fishery Science University, we, the constituent colleges, are entitled or entrusted with the responsibility of creating entrepreneurs in different sectors. So as far as the dairy sector is considered, we have published our Yashogatha, or what we call as a success story book, and I have given highlights of that particular books only, that how these particular rural youth, the farmers, the unemployed youth were trained, were equipped with the knowledge, and now they are settled in the business farmings. Like agriculture graduate or a normal graduate has settled himself in dairy business, or a new business has been started by a farmer, or who's actually was not doing farming or was not doing dairy farming, but he has now initiated the dairy farming, and now he is taking the benefits of that particular farming. When we speak about dairy farming and cattle farming, pictorially I have not depicted here, but we have to understand that we are in a different phase, we are in a different era altogether now. Lot of focus is being given on development and you can say that propagation of indigenous cattle and breeds of indigenous origin, in specifically in terms of your cattle also. So in that case, we are seeing a different kinds of entrepreneurship, or we are seeing a different kind of entrepreneurs coming up in this particular domain. The last photograph, which is depicted onto the right side of my screen, which shows an animal, which shows an owner with a light, you can say that Devni animal. And this kind of farming is also getting a very huge, you can say that response. There are different kinds of breeders for different kinds of breeds of animals. Let me appraise the audience about the richness of your biodiversity in terms of your cattle population as such. When we speak about Maharashtra, we are blessed with 5 different species of cattle itself. Devni is there, Red Kandari is there, Gauda is there, Dangi is there, and in many pockets of Maharashtra, Gir and Sahiwal are getting popularity. So in that way, the conservation and development of these particular breeds for both for agriculture purpose and for the dairy business is getting very important center stage. And with these particular things, when we speak about dairy, lot of farmers are coming forward for buffalo farming also. When we speak about buffalo farming, why the farmers are attracted toward buffalo farming is that they get the price realization for that particular milk in a very easy way, or very realistic price realization. They can have that by providing this particular milk to the cooperatives or the government sector, or maybe even to the private milk collectors. So in this particular way, the dairy farming sector in both cattle and buffalo is providing with huge opportunities. Many of our farmers or many of our participants must be from northern regions, and they must be aware of an elite animals or elite buffalo breed, which is referred to as Yuvraj. And his price is not because of what his look likes or something, but his price is because of the kind of semen he produces, or the kind of semen that is being produced from that particular animal. So these particular elite animals are not only being reared for the want of just milk and milk product, but these particular animals are being kept as prized animals for the breed conservation, for development of the progenies, and for development of you can say that the next generation for elite animals. And these particular animals are not only just reared in India, but the elite germplasm is being taken outside the India for breed developments or for propagation of dairy animals, specifically in arid and semi-arid regions like Indian, as Indian conditions are there in other parts of the world. So dairy farming is definitely one of an integrated farming approaches there. I would like to brief a small, you can say that highlight that nowadays dairy has been equipped with not only with just milk and milk produce, or the milk and milk addition, value-added products of milk, but even the cow dung, the cow urine, and the products prepared from the cow dung and cow urine are getting very huge popularity. If you search on Google, or if you search on Amazon, even your dung cakes are being sold at a price of somewhere around 50 plus for 6 to 7 kanda, or 6 to 7, you can say that, cakes. So the costing is not just because of the animals or because of the product like milk, but now the price realization is also is being realized through the dung and the urine also. Urine is also being sold with distillation and with other processes in terms of your, you can say that, gomutra and goark or something like that. And these particular products are being utilized as an integral part of your organic agriculture farming system. So cow and buffalo farming is one and the foremost important part as far as agriculture sector is considered. When we speak about cow farming as an the first and foremost, we have to understand that in Indian scenario, next to the cow comes your goat farming, or goat farming is referred to as the poor man's cow farming only. So when we speak about goat farming also, we have to understand that goats are being specifically reared for 3 main purposes, like your meat purpose is there, for breeding stock or realization is there, and to some extent nowadays goat milk is being valued, or goat milk is being is in demand for one or the other reasons. Here we have to understand all three important things, that why this particular sector is gaining in importance. If you look at the price realization, or the price which we give it for the meat of the goat, I have never seen any decrease in the meat prices for the last 20 years on a stretch. You can have a fluctuation in the price, maybe for eggs, maybe for chicken, or for other things. But for as far as goat meat is considered, we have never seen a decline in these particular things. Rather, we have seen an increase in the demand for the goat meat. The demand for the chicken and the mutton as such is increasing, and there is a large number of people who are coming, maybe because of the kind of growth in economy is considered. People are preferring goat meat for consumption also, and that is one of the important part. That is one of the important thing where realization or goat production is gaining importance. When we speak about, I must appraise our participants that when we speak about the goat farming or goat training as such, or goat rearing as such, large number of rural youth, not only from agriculture sector but from other sides also, are coming very enthusiastically for goat rearing and for goat farming. And we have been giving this particular training for the last 10 years, and I have realized that many of the goat farmers or many of the goat units are established not by the farmers itself but by the other entrepreneurs. Many highly educated, you can say that engineers and graduates are coming into this particular business, and they are trying to you can say that take the benefit of this particular poor man's cow in turning, or by turning this particular business into a more organized kind of a business. And their realization is definitely in terms of their meat production. And many of our goat farmers or many of our allied goat farmers are specifically doing the goat farming for breed improvement. When we speak about, as I've given an example, that we are now targeting for even milk from the goat also. So Saanen, or the breed like Saanen, is being incorporated or is being imported in India, and that particular milk or a demand for that particular goat milk is being taken care by importing this breed. And a lot of farmers, specifically the breeders in goat farming, are targeting Saanen or are targeting our Jamnapari or targeting our, you can say that Sirohi or beetle breeds for meat and milk purposes, and they are gaining good momentum as far as goat farming is considered. And when we speak about the dynamics of the goat farming, why they are getting the importance is like we can say that most of your southern part or most of your we can say that southwestern part has a very favorable climate for goat and goat husbandry. So in that particular part, goat husbandry or goat rearing is getting importance, and this is going to be the next, you can say that point of revelation for meat and meat industry in terms of rearing of that goat. Of course, we have just celebrated, I think, on 21st the Bakri Eid only. So we can say that that was also one of the important celebration. Apart from the celebration, what we have we have realized that it has been acting as a booster for the goat industry as such. Are huge cutouts of you can say that quality goat are being seen there. On the right side of my screen, you can see that a goat or a goat is being shown, and 1 lakh rupees or the price is shown as a goat with 1 lakh tag. So this kind of marketing strategy and this kind of you can say that specific rearing for the Bakri Eid or for the Eid purpose goat rearing is gaining importance. And as I have seen that this kind of rearing is being done by the, you can say that the next generation of your goat breeders. In first, you can say that in the first phase, we recommend the goat farmers to go for allied breeds or the established breeds which are available in their particular region. And when they have the sufficient kind of you can say that exposure and expertise, we ask them or we can encourage them for rearing the Eid or rearing the goats for the Eid purpose or for breeding purpose or maybe for show purposes also. So this is the one of the area where not only the farmers, not only the entrepreneurs, but the rural women are also being involved through different kinds of schemes, whether that is you can say that your entrepreneurship development through MSRLM, whether it is with the Mahila Mandal development, or whether it is with the SHGs or self-help groups, or whether even if it is being taken care by some of the emerging farmer producer companies also. In very adjacent to the Nagpur, in Wardha region, we have a separate farmer producer company for goat farming farmers only. So this is the era where the goat farming is not being seen just as a poor farmer's cow or poor farmer's venture. Goat farming is getting established as an industry, as an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship, and that is going to be, you can say that, the tool for the economic empowerment for the rural people in the coming areas. So this is one of the important part of goat entrepreneurship, which is related with agriculture and allied areas. Then coming to the third important part is your poultry farming. Whether it is layer farming, whether it is layer means the egg laying farming, or egg laying birds are being reared for in layer farming, whether it is broiler farming, or you can say that the meat purpose rearing of birds is there. Whether it is nowadays the other kind of things is getting popularity is your colored birds. There is a huge demand for the colored birds nowadays, and because of some of the medicinal importance for some specific breeds, which I have shown in my picture also, that Kadaknath, the birds of Kadaknath are being favored for the choice, for the preference of their meat also, or for the you can say that pharmaceutical, or you can say that medicinal values for that meat also. So people are coming with demand for these particular kind of products, even in the different kinds of you can say the birds, whether it is quail, whether it is turkeys, whether it is goose. So these kind of you can say that other kinds of birds are also getting importance, or other getting you can say that or getting demand from the public, and that is why we are coming across with a large number of demand for establishment of poultry farming, not only in layer and broiler, but in other sectors also, in other allied areas also. You must be hearing about fight purposes breeds of poultry in terms of by the name Asil. So Asil is also getting importance, or Asil is also getting popularity by the breeders. Apart from that particular thing, here I must say that there is always an issue of price realization, especially for the small you can say that poultry farmer. And nowadays this particular thing is being taken care by integration of these particular you can say that broiler farming with their own shops. Some of our trainees who have started their broiler farm, now they do have the broiler farm also, and they do have a separate shop also for themselves. So for that, you can say that they have cut short the marketing channel by eliminating the middlemen, and they are now directly selling their particular products to the direct customers. So price realization for these particular individuals are very high, and these are the real faces of your entrepreneurship as far as poultry farming is considered. So we have a large number of database where the poultry farmers are themselves involved in marketing and production, and in you can say that forward and backward linkages as far as poultry farming is considered. So this is particular one area which is gaining importance in rural youth, especially the graduate, or especially the, you can say that educated youth are turning into this particular business. Maybe that the reason could be initial high investment could be one of the reason, but definitely people are coming here with expectations to establish themselves into this particular agriculture allied areas, which we refer to as a, you can say that green initiatives or green businesses as such. And these are the businesses for future in terms of their sustainability is considered. So poultry farming is definitely gaining an importance in rural areas. As I have said that not only the entrepreneurs, but even in women empowerment or rural development through women empowerment, that is also being taken care through different kinds of government schemes through poultry farming. So this particular sector is definitely one of the important part in agriculture and allied sector. Then coming to your allied or the next area, which is going to be the next, you can say that roadmap for revolution. We have seen the green revolution, we have seen the blue revolution, and now it's time ourselves to get ourselves equipped for the blue revolution, or you can say that blue revolution is going to be the key for evergreen revolution. We have a huge, you can say that water-based or water resources, as far as availability of water resources in terms of your freshwater fish culture, also in terms of your marine water fish culture also, and in terms of your brackish water also. So we have to realize the potential of these particular three domains, and we have to consider, or we have to encourage people in this particular entrepreneurial domain also. Here what we are doing is we are encouraging people to go for freshwater fish culture, whether it is a composite fish culture for Indian carps, or whether it is a composite fish culture with Indian carps and exotic carps. So that is also gaining very greatly importance in specifically in terms of your you can say that inland water fisheries, or the large water bodies which are available, or the inland water bodies which are available. Apart from that, reservoir fisheries, or you can say that the reservoir fisheries in terms of the fisheries being done in dams or the large water bodies is considered. That is also gaining importance in these coming days. And here, the kind of fisheries sector, or the kind of development in fisheries sectors we are seeing, is that we are looking forward for not only the you can say that catch and market is not the, it's an old kind of a thing. Now reservoir fishery is coming with cage culture, or you can call it as a composite cage culture in terms of use of that particular reservoir body for fish culture. Apart from that, in freshwater fish culture, apart from your marine fish culture, in freshwater fish cultures also, people are going for different options like prawn cultures. These are the new options which are coming. Many entrepreneurs, specifically those who are in freshwater fish culture, they are taking up the production of your fish fingerlings, or the spawns, or you can say that the younger fishes as such. So that is also one of the lucrative area where hatcheries are being set up by these particular young entrepreneurs and these young farmers, and they are providing the availability, or they are providing the seed requirement for local seed requirement as such. Apart from that, many other options are also being explored. You can see that on my left side there is the one lady who has opened her shop for aquarium. Similarly, some entrepreneurs are doing this particular job in a very systematic and a very scientific way, and their earning is quite remarkable as such. When we speak about specifically the exotic breeds of your aquarium breeds or aquarium fishes is considered, so breeding and rearing of these particular thing is also getting an importance, and that is something which you can say that forward linkages has to be developed for this kind of entrepreneurship in coming areas. So fish farming is now no more a domain which was neglected only for the some part of your society, which was referred to as the fishermen. Now many entrepreneurs or many new generation entrepreneurs are coming here with a view to establish themselves as a successful fish farmers in both you can say that scientific farming and other allied areas also. So fish farming is definitely one of a very important part of your entrepreneurship avenues which is available in rural areas nowadays, and we have to explore this particular. I think this is one thing which is very, you can say that, minimally exposed or minimally exploited area. So we need to concentrate on these particular things in a more you can say that concentrated manner, so that this area also has some potential and can create employment opportunities in rural domain. Then coming to your agriculture tourism. When we speak about integrated agriculture, whether it is animal husbandry, dairy, fisheries, or agriculture as such, nowadays people are going for using, or you can say that extended use of their agriculture for some other avenues. And agriculture tourism or agro-tourism, which is referred to as, is gaining very huge importance. Even you must have been hearing about cow cuddling. Cow cuddling is nowadays a kind of rage which is happening there. Earlier, people used to hesitate to go towards animal, but now they are paying for touching the animals, looking the animals, and for being with the animals, having a ride onto the you can say that carts which are being pulled by animals, and living in that particular vicinity of farms and farmstead. So this area is also getting an importance. And why I have kept it just after agriculture and allied areas, is that these are the sector where the particular dairy farming, goat farming, poultry farming, and other areas are being integrated in agriculture tourism. And not only the your next generation, your generation from your urban elites or your metropolitan cities are finding it very easy way to educate the next generation for agriculture and the importance of agriculture. And this is going to be a very lucrative area, specifically for those farmers who have an inclination towards diversification and towards reaping the benefits of agriculture tourism. Then coming to your coming to your agriculture as such, agroforestry is one of very important domain as such when we speak about agriculture or integration of agriculture as such. I think last month we had a visit in our adjoining areas of Gadchiroli and Bhandara. There, large number of farms have the teakwood plantation. Very young entrepreneurs are coming with the plantation, like you can say that sandalwood plantation, and many people are coming with an ideas of integrating for agroforestry in their own farms as such. And this has provided them with two benefits. That is, the agriculture is being you can say that substantiated with you can say that productivity, enhanced productivity and environmental protection. At the same time, the land utilization has been achieved in a more perfect way. And agroforestry is gaining importance in terms of your price realization from these particular products also. If you can think about the price of the teak or the sandalwood or the demand for these particular kind of products, you can see that agroforestry is one of very important part or very important avenue which is available for farmers. But I think this is also one of the least, you can say that least exploited area, where we as an agriculture scientist or agriculture students or agriculture or the personnel from agriculture, we have to educate people into taking this particular opportunity as you can say that front on, and then trying to utilize or trying to make use of this particular opportunity in more scientific way. If we can use this particular agroforestry in a better way, definitely farmers will have better you can say that returns from their particular small piece of land. Then coming to your next is your cultivation of your medicinal or herbal plant. Many young entrepreneurs are coming with ideas to go grow medicinal plants and herbs. And why they are coming is that because you can see that during the last 1.5 years, we have realized that allopathy is okay, but Ayurvedic or Ayurvedic productions or Ayurvedic products are also getting very huge popularity among people. Not only in India, but in your entire, you can say that globe, we are seeing a huge surge in the demand for the products which are made from, you can say that herbal products or medicinal, you can say that cultivated products. So this particular realization is going to be the next revolution for your agriculture. Even in the smallest part of your field, for your agriculture field, you can go for medicinal plant cultivation, and people are taking the benefit of the available local, you can say that resources. And it's not important that it's not, you can say that important to go for exotic breeds or exotic herbs or exotic shrubs or plants. We can have the plantation for the locally available medicinal plants and herbs, and still there is a huge demand for these particular plants. And with the increasing demand, or with the increasing, you can say that R&D in this particular sector or development of the pharmaceutical, in specifically with Ayush and the Department of Ayush is doing. So we can say that in next few years, we will have a huge demand for medicinal plants and herbs which are required for the production of these particular products as such. So the young entrepreneurs are definitely looking at this particular opportunity, and we have to educate them. I think very you can say that meager kind of information is available with agriculture scientists and the personals which are involved in agriculture regarding this particular aspect of agriculture. So when we speak about this, we have to enrich their knowledge sets also, their knowledge or skill sets also, in terms of, so that can be reaching, or that can reach to the farmers, and farmers can have the benefit from these particular sectors as such. The next domain is your most you can say that spoken about is like your honeybees. Honeybees cultivation is also getting importance. It's not getting importance only in the tribal or in the hill areas. I have seen in the plains also this particular venture is getting importance. And why this is particular getting importance is because the increased demand for the honey and the product which are made or which are made from the honey as such. So people are coming forward with an opportunity or with a vision to look forward for this particular opportunity. And young entrepreneurs, women, and large number of you can say that educated youth are coming, and there are good numbers of you can say that honeybee cultivators which are available. And the processing is also gaining an importance, and that is also creating you can say that employment opportunity in rural areas. So we have to be positive about this particular thing and educate people about this particular aspect. And people and specifically with the agriculture, you can say that farmers can also take this as a subsidiary business and have some you can say that some source of continued earning as such. So honey beekeeping or beekeeping is also getting an important you can say that is also coming up as an important entrepreneurial avenue for the farmers and young entrepreneurs also. Next is your value addition. As I've said that people are producing, we are producing everything in abundance. We are producing everything which is beyond our requirement or beyond you can say that it is surplus in some or the other way. But here the value addition comes, or here the time of here the importance of value addition we have to we have to look into this particular area as one of the important source for your entrepreneurship as such. So when we speak about value addition, milk and milk products can be converted into different kinds of products. When we speak about value addition, meat and meat products can be can be converted into different kinds of products. Similarly, when we speak about your agriculture produce, that can also be products that can also be converted into your jams, pickles, and whatnot. Even the small kinds of the you can say that pulses are now being produced, or they are now being you can say that value added or enriched, and they are being taken into consideration for creating an entrepreneurship or creating you can say that avenues for entrepreneurship in rural areas. And many young farmers are not only just now involved in production of this particular product, but they are going for value addition, they are going for product preparation, they are going for marketing or market linking of this particular produce, maybe on the small scale, but they are definitely bringing their own produce, farm produce, and this value addition is helping them in one or the other ways. When we speak about value addition, I would like to give one example of your farmer producer company. Why I have kept a picture of a person who is harvesting the fodder crop. Here is an example. A farmer producer company named as Vishwas Farmer Producer Company is there, and it has involved more than 100 you can say that I think more than 100 farmers exclusively for production of only fodder crops. And what they are doing is that they are selling their fodder crops at the doorstep of the dairy farmers. We have rarely seen this kind of entrepreneur, or we have rarely seen this kind of entrepreneurship which is being developed or which is being created. Earlier, the dairy farmers were encouraged to grow the fodder crops as such. But you see in peri-urban areas or into your you can say that your large metropolitan areas, where the farm land is, the availability of the farmland is a very major issue. These kind of entrepreneurship abilities or these kind of entrepreneurship avenues can sustain your dairy farmers or sustain your agriculture farmers also by producing the inputs for your dairy farming, for your goat farming, for your other kinds of animal rearing is considered. So when you speak about value addition, it is not just the product preparation. You could have a separate kind of products in terms of the product, and then create that, and then create that particular things into. You can sell it like that also, or you can create a value addition in terms of your converting it into silage and then giving or then marketing these particular things. Here, why I have given these particular slides with I have written myself back to this particular earlier slide is that you can see that there are young fellows who are involved into this particular business, and this is where the important thing of or important we have to realize is that gone are those days when we need to blame the middlemans or the commission agents or the market functionaries for exploiting. Instead, now we have to create a new genera of entrepreneurs in this particular market linkage or in this particular chain of marketing itself. So we have to understand that not only the production and not only the consumption, but between the production and consumption, whatever comes, there we have to create entrepreneurship domain, whether it is for transportation, whether it is for storage, whether it is for chilling, whether it is for processing, whether it is for you can say that handling, whether it is for providing of manpower. These are all sectors where different kinds of entrepreneurship avenues are available, and we have to train the young minds into creating the space for themselves into this particular value addition, or in particular this you can say that marketing channels as such. And that is why these particular individuals have highlighted that these particular individuals are not producing any kind of produce, but they are actively involved into the marketing linkages or marketing channel, and they are taking the benefit of this particular activity. And we have to encourage more and more people in coming into these particular things, doing it very fairly, so that our farmers can also be benefited from this particular, and they can get rid of the exploitations of you can say that what presently we are seeing, that if you can have a just business, we can have a legal business, then definitely price realization for the farmers will be onto a higher side. People have demonstrated this to different activities, and now it is required that we need to create entrepreneurs in this particular domain as such, or also in this particular domain also. I have given an example of production of this particular value addition in animal products, in agriculture products, and you could go beyond these particular things also in terms of your, you can say that rubber plantation is there, you can say that coffee plantation is there, you can say very different kinds of requirements which are needed by your different kinds of industry. We can have your jatropha, you can say that cultivation for your biofuel production kind of things. So that is one of the important things. I think that is that slide was missing from my side. So you can have jatropha plantation for biofuel or production of the biofuel as such. So we have to show them the different paths of value addition, and then try to create different genera of your entrepreneurs in value addition as such. Then when we speak about the new generation or the new era, new generation, we have to understand that why I have came from production to marketing to the market linkages also. Now we have to educate the farmer to produce and to sell also. We are educating farmers. We are trying to handle there and support them in establishing their own products. Whether it is A to Z Sabji Bazar, whatever the kind of you can say that vegetables you wanted for your home purpose, or for your for establishments like your restaurant or something, that is available on call, that is available on, you can say that, on delivery. We are habituated nowadays to call from Zomatos, from Swiggy's, from Amazon or something like that. So that particular knowledge domain, that particular knowledge base has to be integrated for the benefit of your agriculture farmers also, for your brothers and sisters who are working in agriculture also. So the products like organic, for being well, or the organic products, we have to create a mandi, or we have to create a space for organic products. We have to create a space for your you can say that vegetable products. We have to create a space for your groceries and fruits and kinds of things. Now you must be seeing a lot of you can say that advertisement is going on. Earlier we struggled to convince people about the frozen food or frozen meat or kind of a thing, but the heavy, you can say that marketing or the advertisement like Licious. Nowadays you turn on the television, and many big stars, film stars, and many big celebrities are advertising or giving their services for this particular advertisement. So these kind of things, or these kind of campaigns, are the ways for the future, not only for agriculture, not only for the animal husbandry kind of product, for agriculture also. And many a times, or you can say that if you just search on to the Google, you will find that fruit, vegetables, or fruit sellers, vegetable sellers, or chicken sellers, egg sellers, mutton sellers, and even one of my own trainee is selling you can say that cow dung cakes on Amazon. So we have to integrate, we have to handle or give them support for these particular activities so that they can establish themselves into both in domestic market as well as for export of this particular product. Wherever the export opportunities, wherever the export potential is available, we have to encourage them to go for export of this agriculture produce also. I am very happy to inform you that young, you can say that agriculture graduates are from Wardha region, and they are employing, and they have given an employment opportunity for more than 30, you can say that farm women, and they are exporting the homegrown or the, you can say that organically grown vegetables to the Southeast Asia or to the Middle East region, and they are doing fairly nice in the last, even in your pandemic time also. So these are the areas, or these are the entrepreneurs we need to highlight, we need to expose them, and we need to give these particular examples for our farmers also, and for the you can say that sons and daughters of our farmers, so that they can see that agriculture is also you can say that profit making enterprise, or it's also a lucrative business opportunity for them to invest into the future. So home delivery of agriculture produce, linking these particular things to your internet kind of domain is also an important things. And I think many other speakers must have also given many good ideas about linking these particular things, but these are some of these are our own avenues, or some of these are our own supported activities. That is why I felt that we have to give these kind of examples and set these kind of examples for creating employment opportunities or creating entrepreneurship opportunities in agriculture and allied domain. Now people are coming to us with not only production aspect, they are coming to us with many different ideas also. Startups or ignited brains are coming, and they are coming with very, you can say that useful ideas. You cannot call it them bizarre ideas, but you can call them very useful ideas. In Maharashtra, there is a popular term which is referred to as you can say that farm mechanization, or farm machineries are available on rent basis. They are called as custom hiring centers for the farm machineries. The small farmers who are not in a position to purchase those farms equipments by themselves, they are hiring now. So whether it is the tractor or the farm equipment dealing, they are taking the services of these particular equipments, and they are taking the benefits of, you can say that, scientific cultivation, scientific animal husbandry, or scientific agriculture as such. Whether it is harvesting, whether it is cultivation, whether it is post product activities, or whether it is the intercultivation activities are considered. People are coming with different avenues. The people are coming with the different ideas or startups to start not only just custom hired centers for your farm equipments, for maintenance, for small, you can say that repair kind of things, small repair of your farm equipments or kind of a thing. So many people are investing, many people are coming with an ideas for having or for starting this particular entrepreneurship in different ways, whether it is services or whether it is opportunities. And apart from this, there are other avenues like consultancy is there. Many young brains or many young agriculture graduates, specifically from extension department, extension division, they are taking very enthusiastically the work of you can say that consultancy or work of guiding people. And earlier people were not paying for the consultancy, but now with the realization of importance of how this particular consultancy has been beneficial for their business, people are ready to pay for your service, definitely provided that your services should be of good quality. So people are coming up with different kinds of avenues. Here I must say that everything which is being produced in agriculture domain or agriculture sector can be utilized in one or the other ways. Only thing is that we have to think out of box and create good entrepreneurship avenues for these particular activities as such. So when we speak about agriculture as such, we have to understand these are the avenues, and these are the, you can say that different avenues which are available. You can say that these are not the complete list, but definitely these are some of the avenues which are important and which are growing, which are going to be important in your coming days as such. I have tried to give you more of a theoretical thing or more of this particular kind of a thing. So I have exposed you with some of the important parts or some of the important entrepreneurship domains as such. I'm sure that all of you you can take a lead from that, have your own ideas developed on this particular aspect, and then you can guide people for entrepreneurship avenues through agriculture and allied areas. Definitely, this is just a small, you can say that, presentation, and there could be many other areas which are still there, and you can exploit those particular areas or in one or the other ways. Dr. Majid sir. Dr. Majid sir. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And now, if there are any questions from the participants, please ask.
I think I'm continuously speaking without a kind of you can say that reflection from the other end. So that is why
feedback.
I'm more interested in listening. I'm more interested in listening.
You can stop the PPT. You can stop the PPT and you can see the participants.
Okay. Can I stop the sharing of PPT?
Yeah, I'll stop it from this side.
Okay.
You can come to Chrome and see the participants. Any interaction or question, please ask. Yeah, Dr. M. Rajalakshmi, please ask.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. M. Rajalakshmi from Pondicherry.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you? I hope everything is fine.
Fine, thank you, sir. So I have one doubt about that Kadaknath rearing, no, sir. Do we have any papers for the medicinal value, sir?
Small number of papers are available from Madhya Pradesh region or from the veterinary colleges in Madhya Pradesh. And if you can see that they have not claimed for, you can say that they are not claiming for high-end products. What they are claiming is that the medicinal properties or the immunobuster properties of these particular birds can be exploited or can be used as such. And many a times we have seen that it is not the meat or it is not the product as such, but it is the cultivation or it is the, you can say that the available, you can say that feed, which is actually being converted into one or the other products, and that is being benefited. Of course, a lot of research is to be done, and we have to find out the exact molecules or exact, you can say that active ingredients which are available in those particular things. But as far as iron content is concerned, or the mineral profile is considered, definitely that is for sure that it is an enriching one. And you can find good number of papers on this particular aspect, specifically on iron content and for mineral contents as such.
Sir, and the way they are rearing the bird is also important, no, sir?
That is why I have said that
yes, sir.
You cannot convert it into a broiler kind of a farming and give them a packaged food. Packaged food will give you the packaged kind of result, but now the results which are coming in terms of their profile for mineral profiles kind of a thing, that is because of the free range or the scavenging kind of system, and because of the vegetation they are rearing on. That is what is creating, or that is what is giving them the taste, the flavor, the mineral or the mineral contents or something like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So the way they are rearing the bird, they can claim it.
Yes, of course, and this could be a very important lead for people like you who are from different part of country, that you can have your own birds, rear them onto your own, you can say that available flora and fauna, and then try to see the you can say that mineral contents or the mineral profile for that particular meat, and you will definitely see that there would be certain kind of an important thing. Maybe it could be a special kind of things which are available in your part only. So that can be exploited in the next area.
Thank you, sir.
Now we are only focusing on Kadaknath, but you can go beyond that also. Thank you, ma'am.
There's one question by Jigar Binubai Sutar. The question is, which is economically better, either buffalo farming or cow farming?
This is a very tricky question, sir. Those who are good with the buffalo, they can go for buffalo farming. Those who are good with the cow farming, they can go for the cow farming. Both are very lucrative. Both are established, sustainable, and absolutely brilliant businesses to go with. No issues about that, sir. If you are comfortable with cow, go with cow. If you are comfortable with buffalo, go with buffalo. And of course, availability will also be a matter of concern.
There's a question also in chat. What is the incentive income per month in dairy farming?
Sir, your voice was echoing.
Prakash sir, can you?
Yeah. No, Sariput sir, please
there
go.
is a question in
Yeah,
by
Sariput sir.
Dr. Vipasa Jallar. What is the incentive income per month in dairy farming?
Sariput sir, can you
What
just
is-
go
yes,
through
yes,
your chat?
Yes. Okay.
The question is in the chat box.
Incentivize. No. I can get. Madhu sir is very clear now in terms of your price realization for dairy farming. Here, I must quote one important thing is that whenever you are marketing milk, and if you are supplying the market or if you are supplying the milk to your maybe your cooperatives or something, then there is a problem of you can say that price. But fortunately, if you are venturing into buffalo farming, because of the fat content, you can have you can say that your bargaining power will be very high. And when we come to your dairy sector, specifically for your indigenous kind of animals, nowadays people are getting the benefit of the doubts which are there in terms of your A2, in terms of your deshi cow animals or deshi cow milk, or in terms of your indigenous milk, or in terms of your cow milk as such. So you name anything. As far as I'm of this opinion, that as far as these particular things are benefiting our farmers, I think there is no problem. In Nagpur, just last, I think in last couple of days, I think 4 or 5 days have gone past, a very respectable company which is there for the last 75 years, they are popularizing the cow milk from, you can say that, Sahiwal milk or Gir cow milk. And they are saying that it's a desi milk. They are not claiming it as an organic milk. They are not claiming it as a A2 milk. They are not claiming anything specific, but they are saying that it is an indigenous cow milk, and that is being sold at the rate of 52 rupees per liter. So it is Vishwas Dinshaka, or cow milk is from farmers. I've taken the name, sorry for that. But we have to understand this dynamics. So if you can have this particular clarity, I have farmers who are selling Sahiwal milk at the rate of 100 rupees per liter. I have a group of farmers who are selling the cow milk from a loose housing system. Loose housing system is rearing animals on the loose, and that particular system we have developed from Maharashtra Animal and Fishery Sciences University in the specific pockets of Western Maharashtra, in Chitale Dairy and in Govinda Dairy. And then that particular milk is being sold under and which is referred to as a happy cow milk. And when we prefix something like happy cow milk, the cost is more than 100 rupees per liter. So how do you market is important. I hope I'm clear. Sir, can I go through that questions now? Egg laying capacity of Kadaknath is poor compared to others. Yes, of course, that is true. But we will have to develop these particular attributes of egg laying in our deshi birds or in deshi birds. And you can say that local research has to be initiated in these particular activities. Just like what we have late realization that our indigenous cattle can also be producing high milk. Similarly, I think this is the domain which is being addressed, and maybe in coming future, we will have our own desi breeds of poultry with better egg laying capacities. Sir, can I know the difference between A1 and A2 milk? This is by Krishna Priya. I think there is a fair, you can say that, understanding now as far as A2 and A1 milk is considered. A2 milk, why this is particularly gaining popularity is that our indigenous cattle or the cattle from our Indian origin, they do have a specific, you can say that, gene, and because of that particular gene, the milk produced from these particular animals, they do have a specific gene, and that too a specific kind of a protein is there in that particular gene, and that gene is being utilized. And it could be a marketing gimmick, it could be a marketing strategy, but as I have said that we don't have to do with A1, A2, or the ill benefits of A1 or the good benefits of A2. My realization is that as far as farmers are getting benefit because of A2, we have to settle it for the A2. There is no problem about that A2 or A1. If you want a certification, I think institutes like Karnal or NDRI is giving the certification for A1 and A2 kind of a milk. So you can have the separation, you can have the branding, and you can have the price realization. More important is price realization.
Okay, sir. Sir, one more thing, sir. Can I know the nutritious value of A1 and A2 milk? Is there any difference?
Ma'am, nutritionally, or you can say that composition, if you can check the composition of this particular milk, composition
sir.
is the milk will be of similar kind.
Okay, sir.
You cannot have an animal, you cannot have an animal or cow with A2 milk and that the composition will be something different. Composition will be very similar to your cow milk, very similar to your buffalo milk only. Only thing is that we have a separate kind of a gene which is there in our indigenous animals, and that is why there the differentiation is there, and we are using it for the benefit of the farmers. It is okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
There, as far as till date, I think there are no conclusive evidences which says that A1 milk is definitely poisonous or definitely not good for health.
Okay, sir.
But
Okay, sir.
if A2 milk is good for health, it is okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Which is preferred? I think I have given the answers. What I have done is that I have specifically, purposefully, I have not given the text for all those things. So this was my attempt to do something a little different, very minimal kind of things, and my experiences, my exposure, my you can say that experience or my views were there. So whenever I say it is my view, it is my view only. So I may not be backed by your scientific evidences, but in days to come, definitely people will come with scientific evidences.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello. Sir.
Huh.
Hello. Hello.
Basappa sir, please.
Sir, in the integrated dairy farm, what basis they are paying? Like in integration poultry, based on the FTR and body weight they are paying. In case of the integrated dairy farm, what the basis they are paying? Milk or ton?
Sir, nowadays it is gone are those days when people were only behind milk only. Now now we have the farmers, or even the government has declared that they will be purchasing the cow dung at the cost of somewhere around 5 rupees per kg or 2 rupees kg or 1 rupees kg. There are different kinds of report. So if you see that even cow dung is going to be of great value in future. When we are shifting from your you can say that fertilizer based agriculture to the organic based agriculture, definitely these things are going to have great scope, great importance in the coming days, and we will have more and more people coming in this particular area. I do have a farmer who's absolutely not interested in cow milk or in buffalo milk. What he is interested is how much the dung is there, and this was something which I came to, you can say that realization after looking at him, after watching his farm, and after watching the you can say that the marketing which he is doing for his cow dung, for his you can say that urine, for his you can say that what fertilizers are there. So whether it is earthworm or vermicompost is there. So his vermicompost he is selling at the rate of 60 plus rupees. His 1 liter or 30 ml of his cow urine he is selling at the rate of 60 rupees. So he's more interested in the urine, he's more interested in the dung, and his total population or his total production of the milk is somewhere around hardly 100 liters, and he's happy with that. He's having no grudge about less production of the milk. He is earning more in the cow dung and the products which is allied into that area. Jalar sir, I hope to some extent I am clear.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Prakash. How are you?
Yeah, fine, sir. So I just want to again add to our participants that because some of them are just asking about which is good cattle farming, dairy, buffalo farming, whatever it is. End of the day, in agriculture and livestock sector, there is no set or thumb rule actually with regards to which is profitable. So end of the day, it is how we manage it, what counts, as well as the market where we have. So if you have a nearby good markets and if you really have that ability to sell them, I think that will be one good thing. And most of the times we just go to Google and we search and we feel that actually cattle farming or dairy farming is very lucrative. And most of us have to understand that I think we need to wait for at least 2.5 to 3 years just to get into that income generating as an income generating source. Many times we invest 10 lakhs and 15 lakhs maybe for shed for the animals and all those things, and we cannot get back all that amount in just 6 months. So many of our farms fail just because of this reason. And end of the day, we should have that patience at least to wait for at least 2 or 3 years, so that you come back all that whatever loan you have taken or whatever the expenses you have done, you come back to neutral and then you start with the positive mode as a profit basis. So that is what I again want to add to our participants. Is that okay, sir?
Yes, of course. I will go beyond that because many of you are extension scientists or professionals or from agriculture domain. So you have to have this particular thing in mind. If it is cattle and buffalo, your you can say the break-even point is somewhere around 4 to 5 years. If you are a goat farmer, your break-even point is somewhere around 2 to 2.5 years. If you are a poultry producer, your break-even point is somewhere around 1.5 to 2 years. If you come up with these ideas, this much of clarity to your farmers, to your trainers, trainees, or your young entrepreneurs, then only you can have that particular you can say faith and you can say that you can ask them to go with this particular business and they will be successful. And they will not run behind the profit making, but they will run behind scientific management of the farm so that the profit will be automatically higher. Onto the higher side. Our aim should be more and more scientifically managed farms, more and more accurate or correct farms should be established. And of course, forwarded and backward linkages, those who are most neglected, we have to catch them. I am of this opinion that gone are the days. I go beyond this. Now, after 70 years of independence, there are no foreigners involved in as commission agents. These are all our fellows. So we have to understand that they are the part of our system, and we have to get our farmers or the young entrepreneurs or the next generation of the farming community into particular market linkage or what we call it as a marketing channel and get the benefit for the farmer families.
Yes, sir. Are there any questions again from the participant side?
Sir, one more question, sir.
Okay, madam.
Yes, please.
Sir, nowadays they are more concentrated on organic rearing of animals or livestock. So,
Ma'am, your voice is recording.
no, sir. Organic nowadays organic rearing is highlighted, even with rearing of animals, livestock rather than. I want to know about the opinion between the organic and our method.
You wanted to know what
The difference between organic rearing of livestock with our own rearing.
Ma'am, when you speak about organic farming or organic animal husbandry as such, we have to understand that most of our animal farmers, probably or livestock farmers, or goat farmers, or poultry farmers, they have to we have to educate them in terms of organic production systems. Similarly, in a similar way, when an agriculture farmer is educated for organic production system, and then they try to produce the particular produce in organic way and try to sell them, and before selling them, they get themselves registered or something like that. In animal husbandry, what is happening is that we are not concentrating on the methods of organically producing animals, because you know organic is not the product. Organic is the production system as such. The
Yes,
way
sir.
of production is organic. The product is certified as the
Organic.
product coming from the organic system. So
Yes,
when we speak about animal husbandry, we have to change the production system in organic way. Then only your products can be certified as an organic one. And nowadays there is via media. I always take this kind of opportunity. There is always a via media. Even the most, you can say that trusted brands are also not saying that cow milk. They are not. They are not saying that desi cow milk. They are saying that cow milk only. So it is like homegrown milk, homegrown meat. It could be your happy cow milk. It could be your my cow milk, or it could be your our cow milk. You can have some via medias, and you can create that. But having a certificate is absolutely an important thing. If you can get that, there is nothing doing like that.
Sir, actually, is there any result differentiation? That means with organic rearing of the animals, income generation in the initial stages, is there any difference between the income or production in the milk or
when
anything?
when we speak about organic,
Yes,
ma'am,
sir.
the thing is that the moment we speak about organic, your milk will be priced at 100 plus. When you are not speaking about organic, your milk is sold at 29 to 30 rupees or maximum 35 rupees. So the 70% or 70 rupees realization between organic and non-organic will take care of any kind of losses, if at all. I don't believe that there are losses, but if at all, if you feel that there are certain losses, that 70 rupees difference will take care of that particular losses. Even
But
the
is
same,
there any yield difference, sir, between the organic and non-organic?
this is also very interesting part. When we speak about organic, we try to encourage them to go for the locally available animals. And when we speak about locally available animals, the production or their realization or the production potential is something which is known to us. So we are trying to build upon that. So that will not be any, you can say that considerable difference. But definitely when we speak about converting, you can say that crossbreed animals into organic system. So there could be some kind of, you can say that time lapse between your price realization comes to your, you can say that break-even point coming to the break-even point will be somewhat lengthy. Anyway, it is 1 year for complete conversion of animal husbandry sector into organic.
Sir, I'll just add to this because we have got actually conversion period of almost 24 months to 36 months.
Yes, for 1 year minimum is there.
Yeah, but it depends on because when you say organic, no, your all our fodder crops and all the things should be even organic.
Yes,
there are actually good number of books available. Actually, I think Dr. Mahesh Chandar is one person who was our resource person. So they have got good book written by and published by ICR actually. So if somebody is interested, you can even Google it. There is good number of material available about organic production or organic animal husbandry. And they both have got their own positives and negatives, merits and demerits. I think it is left with how the farmers are interested to go ahead now. And I think if there are any other questions.
Our production systems are inherently organic. So you just exploit that.
Yeah. Actually, we had one project done in Bidar district of Karnataka, sir. We found almost 78% of our practices were almost similar to organic.
Yes.
The traditional practices followed by farmers are 78% in similar line with the organic practices. But only thing is they are not aware that they are in organic system. So that is the biggest problem we have. Okay, and if there are no more questions, I think we'll move ahead with the formal vote of thanks. And because if there are any questions, I think I will share the mail ID of our resource person. You can be in touch with him. So that will be fine. And on behalf of all the participants, as well as on my personal behalf, as well as on behalf of all the organizers, I really thank Dr. Sariput Lange sir, my teacher in fact, when I was doing my masters in Mumbai. And it is really a great pleasure again having him as a resource person in this particular training program. And I'm sure he has very nicely covered about all the aspects, although being a veterinary expert, but he has tried to touch upon agriculture, veterinary, horticulture, even fisheries and mushroom and so many other fields. And thank you very much for your best efforts in putting this in a nicely way for our participants, sir. And I'm sure our participants might have really enriched with this particular presentation. And finally, on behalf of all of them, as well as on my personal behalf, I thank you once again for sparing your valuable time and sharing your experiences with the participants. And thank you all. Thank you, sir. And for the information of all the participants, let us again join tomorrow, although it is a Sunday, but we have taken 2 days leave because of Bakrid holidays. Let us again meet at 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. We have a good lecture by Central Institute of Fisheries Education by Dr. P.S. Ananthan, who is a principal scientist. And this talk will be about fisheries and extension. So I think this is the only talk we have exclusively on fisheries background. I am please, those who are interested not interested, I request all to please join, because this is the only exclusive session related to fisheries. And thank you all. See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you, everybody, for patient listening, and I hope everybody is in good health, and please do take care of yourself. Thank you very much.